say we check the menu? I'm talking about the weather menu coming up for us. How about a mix of sunshine and clouds, a sign of cool temperatures for tomorrow, but all in all, not a bad day for Thanksgiving Day. A full look at that 5 or 6 forecast is coming up.
Now at 4:30, it's been 60 plus. Palmetto Bowl preparations are underway, planning for game day, now that we know former President Trump will be there. And a warning for drivers to use extra caution on the roadways. State troopers explain how you can stay safe. Your news at 4:30 starts now.
Live from Television Park, this is WJBF News Channel 6 at 4:30.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Hannah Latier. Thank you for joining us. Dee Griffin is off today. Coverage you can count on begins.
That breeze, that's going to bite, so just be careful for that. Beautiful day for our Thanksgiving Day tomorrow. A little cool, but sunshine. It will remain dry with a temperature of 62 degrees. We will talk more about Thanksgiving and some more rain that's headed our way, all coming up in just a few minutes. Hannah?
All right, thank you so much, Tim. The countdown is on for this year's edition of the Palmetto Bowl. In just a few days, the Clemson Tigers and the University of South Carolina Gamecocks will renew their rivalry on the gridiron. Jason Raven has a preview.
Well, the expectation on a Saturday is a packed house here at Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia for the matchup between the Clemson Tigers and the University of South Carolina Gamecocks. Now, some of the buzz this week hasn't necessarily been on what may happen on the field, but who might be in the stands. Well, Tuesday, former President Donald Trump's campaign confirmed he will attend the game. That he'll be joined by the governor and lieutenant governor. Now, as far as getting to the game, the State Highway Patrol says they have their traffic plan in place that they've used for all the home games, and they will be ready for whatever happens Saturday.
You know, we're probably going to have between 90 to 100 state troopers there directing traffic around that stadium. So, you know, any traffic situation that may present itself that day, we're going to have enough, troopers there to help deal with that.
The game between the Gamecocks and Tigers is scheduled to kick off at 7:30 Saturday. In Columbia, I'm Jason Raven.
In last year's meeting, the Gamecocks beat Clemson at Death Valley 31-30. And in the Peach State, it's a rivalry so intense it is known as clean, old-fashioned hate. On Saturday, Georgia and Georgia Tech will meet for the 117th time, or the 115th. The schools can't even agree on how many times they've played. While Georgia is the two-time defending national champion, this year's game takes place at Georgia Tech. The buzz around Georgia Tech's campus is the Ramblin' Wreck, the college's first official mascot. The 1930 Ford Model A Sports Coupe, colored in the school's colors of white and gold, has made it to every home game since 1961. It sits in a closed garage near the Student Center. The Ramblin' Wreck Club selects the driver every year.
Whenever I pull this car out of the garage, which we're so lucky to have this home right on the center of campus, brand new this year, I can pull the car out of the garage and everyone's faces just light up. They get so excited. I'm driving around campus, everyone's waving, they ask for the horn, other cars honk for me to honk back. It's a really great opportunity to be able to have that impact on the community by just driving around.
The Ramblin' Wreck has had many restorations, but the gas tank and the chassis remain the original model. Georgia and Georgia Tech meet at 7:30 Saturday night here on WJBF. The Bulldogs have not lost at Georgia Tech since 1999. You can expect more of a law enforcement presence on the roads in both Georgia and South Carolina. Highway safety officers are reminding everyone not to speed, to wear their seatbelts, pay attention to the roads, and do not drive distracted or impaired. This year, the Georgia Governor's Office of Highway Safety is offering 1,000 people a $25 Uber credit, hoping to keep more impaired drivers off the roads.
It's another step for us to offer to Georgians to be able to get home safely for wherever you're at, no matter what your condition is.
AAA is also activating its Tow to Go program starting at 6 p.m. tonight until 6 a.m. Monday. If you've been drinking, you and your car will be towed to your home if within a 10-mile radius. You do not have to be a AAA member to use this service. It can be tempting for some of us to indulge a little more than we should on that holiday meal. But one health expert has a reminder before you sit down to eat. Rex Castillo reports.
The third week in November is finally here. Around this time, families around the country will finally gather around a table to dig into their favorite Thanksgiving Day meal. It can be tempting to go for a second or even third round of food, but health experts say take your time at the dinner table.
It takes a couple minutes for our body to have our stomach talk to the brain, so take a couple minutes before you finish that plate, or take a couple minutes before you get up for seconds, and just listen to your body's cues that you're full, you don't need to keep eating, and leftovers will be there tomorrow, and I promise you they're just as good.
Now, it's also important to look at what goes on your plate. A good way to determine a healthy plate is simply to look at the color.
So we want to fill our plate with color, okay? So I recommend at least half of your plate with fruits and vegetables. They're going to provide a lot more fiber, so you're going to feel full sooner, and it's also going to provide more nutrient value and a lower calorie.
Now, one common strategy is to hold back from eating regularly throughout the day. That way you can stuff yourself with Thanksgiving dinner food. Actually, that plan can backfire.
Make sure that you eat at regular times, scheduled times of what your body normally eats, so that you don't overeat or eat too fast by the time you normally eat.
It's important to, of course, enjoy your time with good food and good company. It's okay to try a little bit of everything, but just be careful not to overeat.
You don't need to overeat on anything. Just savor it, take your time, enjoy different spices, seasonings, and take each bite for what it is.
A new survey from a restaurant marketing agency says Thanksgiving meals for half of Americans will come from a restaurant. The survey says nearly 1/3 of people questioned plan to order from restaurants. 17% will eat at those establishments. 60% of adults younger than 35 will either eat at or order a dish from a restaurant. Participants say it's just easier and they don't feel like cooking. Coming up, we're previewing holiday movies, what's hitting TV and online this weekend. Stay with us.
Remember those.
A woman who worked as a stand-in at the Cosby Show in the 1980s is suing Bill Cosby. She claims Cosby drugged and sexually abused her after offering to mentor her in her acting career. A series of lawsuits have been filed against Cosby under New York's expiring Adult Survivors Act. The law gives victims of sexual abuse a 1-year window for claims that would otherwise be barred by time limits. The holiday movie season is underway. Dean Richards has a preview of the films and TV shows dropping just in time for Thanksgiving.
Let the game begin.
What to watch for the long holiday weekend? For new streaming series, the global phenomenon Squid Game returns with a new reality show version with real people competing for millions in prize money. See Squid Game: The Challenge on Netflix now.
She's a wolf in sheep's clothing, that one. Honestly, I'm embarrassed by all the fuss.
Streaming now on Hulu, the Emmy award-winning series Fargo returns for its 5th season of Small Town Mysteries. John Hamm, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and Juno Temple co-star.
The new adventures of Ed and Dex starts now!
For new movies this week, comedians Kenan Thompson and Kel Mitchell are back together again in a new sequel to their 90s cult classic Good Burger. Good Burger 2 is on Paramount Plus now.
So I go with these kids, so they might escape. Then I really live.
In Adam Sandler's new animated comedy, a class pet decides to experience the real world for a change. Cecily Strong and Rob Schneider co-star in Leo on Netflix now. And on Disney Plus, kids on Santa's naughty list decide to rob the North Pole to get the gifts they think they deserve in the new film, The Naughty Nine.
Sky did something special every single Sunday. Nobody walks away at the peak of their powers like this.
For documentaries this week, there's Bye Bye Barry, taking a look at Detroit Lions legend Barry Sanders and his decision to leave the game behind in the prime of his career. Catch it on Amazon Prime now. And for the holidays, see season 2 of the Netflix docuseries High on the Hog, examining how African-American cooking has shaped America's food over the years.
Merry Christmas, everybody!
And for an old-fashioned Christmas musical variety special, there's Ted Lasso star Hannah Waddingham's Home for Christmas on Apple TV Plus now.
The storms have moved out and the clear skies have returned. But how long will the sunny skies last? Tim Miller answers that next.
Did you know only in the 50s and overnight lows in the 30s. You ready for Thanksgiving, Hannah Letier?
I am ready for Thanksgiving, but I will be here tomorrow as well.
Okay.
But yeah.
So will I. We'll be sharing turkey legs together.
Really? Yeah, I'm excited to be on the anchor desk again, so
It's
it
good.
should be good.
It'll be fun.
Nice. Well, thank you so much, Tim.
Yes, ma'am.
Coming up at a look at a new roller coaster coming to Indiana Beach Amusement Park.
Some people
Laugh.
If you're looking to plan some fun for the family, big news from the Indiana Beach Amusement Park. This all-American triple loop is new to Indiana Beach, but it's not a new ride. It was designed in the 1980s and has traveled the world. Indiana Beach first announced they were acquiring the ride in 2020. The beach is closed for the season, but they are still selling season passes for 2024 on Black Friday. Coming up on News Channel 6 at 5, as flu cases continue to rise, what doctors say you can do to have a safe holiday.
I'm attorney.
The live 5 for 6 Skyview Network, sponsored by Terry Lambert Hyundai.
Well, from this morning's low to today's high, only a 6-degree temperature difference thanks to those clouds, but we have some sunshine and some great weather headed our way for Thanksgiving Day. A full look at that 5 for 6 forecast for the holidays straight ahead.
Right now on News Channel 6 at 6, expanding the Webster Detention Center. While the sheriff says that upgrades could save lives, plus record travel expected this Thanksgiving, what you should expect on the roads this year, and a mystery illness affecting dogs across the country. What signs to look out for in your pet as your News at 6 starts right now.
Big city selection with hometown prices.
Only in Waynesboro, where every pre-owned vehicle is backed by J.D. Power's Platinum Warranty. Late model Hyundai Tucson, now $340 a month. Good to go, Waynesboro.com. The live 5 for 6 Skyview Network, sponsored by Terry Lambert Hyundai.
Well, from this morning's low to today's high, only a 6-degree temperature difference thanks to those clouds, but we have some sunshine and some great weather headed our way for Thanksgiving Day. A full look at that 5 for 6 forecast for the holidays straight ahead.
Right now on News Channel 6 at 6, expanding the Webster Detention Center. While the sheriff says that upgrades could save lives, plus record travel expected this Thanksgiving, what you should expect on the roads this year, and a mystery illness affecting dogs across the country. What signs to look out for in your pet as your News at 6 starts right now.
Live from Television Park, this is WJBF News Channel 6 at 6.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. It's great to be with you. Brad and Jenny are off tonight. I'm Sean Cabbage-Stock. Coverage you can count on begins with the fear of tragedy leaving Augusta City leaders ready to move forward with a major expansion of the Webster Detention Center. The new addition will cost big bucks, but commissioners are not prepared to wait until the next phase of the sales tax before going to work. News Channel 6's senior reporter George Escala has the details of the financial gamble.
Overcrowding at the Webster Detention Center. Sheriff Roundtree, before commissioners, was asked what will happen if it's not addressed.
What do you foresee? Someone's going to die, Commissioner. Can you say that again? Someone's going to die.
The overcrowded jail is a big problem, but building a new pod with 200 beds has a big $37.5 million price tag. Usually an item like this would be on the next phase of the sales tax, but that's not expected to start until 2027. And city leaders do not want to wait on that.
You heard the sheriff say out of his mouth that, he's afraid someone's going to die. And I think that we all understand the sense of urgency to have a bigger jail pod when we're overbooked on the number of people there.
Commissioners preparing to go out for bonds for the new pod, but the city will face almost $3 million in interest payments before the next SPLOS could take over. But that's only if voters approve.
It's always a gamble, but
I think that most residents will understand the need for housing prisoners and keeping these violent criminals off the streets.
But some city leaders have sticker shock over the cost of expanding the jail.
We also have to have a conversation about the folks who are just sitting in Webster waiting for trial, waiting for a court date. I think there are other ways to deal with this other than just throwing money out there.
But the conversation has started with the city preparing to spend millions for more space at the jail. In Augusta, George Escala, WJBF, News Channel 6.
Chief Meteorologist Tim Miller joins us now, and Tim, cooler than we were.
Our holiday weekend forecast in just a few minutes. Sean?
All right, Tim, sounds good. Thank you. In McDuffie County, a death investigation is underway. 34-year-old Rodrigo Bernardo Zamora. In January, he was involved in a 3-car crash along I-20 near the Thompson exit. Police say his passenger, Manuel Martinez, died in the crash. Zamora was arrested yesterday and is being held at the McDuffie County Detention Center. A woman accused in the death of a 13-year-old in Augusta is now in the Richmond County Jail. Tia Jackson is accused in the death of 13-year-old Buddy Brown in Augusta. In March, he was shot on Broad Street near Richmond Summit Apartments. In April, Jackson was arrested in West Virginia. She was extradited to Richmond County yesterday, and Gregory Thornton was also arrested in the case earlier this year. Many people are hitting the roads to travel for the Thanksgiving holiday. News Channel 6's Nikita Dennis is live to tell us about the flow of the traffic and what you can expect. Hey, Nikita.
Yeah, that's right. Whether you're traveling by car or taking a flight, things can get a little hectic going to your destination for the holidays. Right now, the traffic is pretty smooth. Some travelers tell us they have ran into traffic going to and from Atlanta because, of course, that is a busy area. And AAA says that they are preparing to rescue more than 360,000 drivers from car trouble this holiday weekend. And you may also run into a little rain.
It's been great so far in South Carolina. The road's been really empty, but I don't anticipate that to hold very long. So, weather's been good.
Traffic been good, but I ran into rain like my first 2 hours. It was terrible. I didn't like that. But it's been smooth sailing ever since. We'll hear from more travelers coming up tonight at 10 and 11. Live in Augusta, Nikita Dennis, WJBF, News Channel 6.
All right, Nikita, thank you. Flu season got an early start this year, and with the holidays, you'll want to make sure you stay healthy. News Channel 6's Bria Smith spoke with a local doctor about how you can do just that. Hey, Bria.
Whether you're traveling this Thanksgiving or staying home and inviting your loved ones, health experts have advice for you to stay flu-free. The CDC reports 107 people hospitalized due to the flu since the first week of October. Dr. Roger MacArthur tells me this flu season is already underway. And with holiday travel and gatherings, Dr. MacArthur says protect yourself. He also tells me a proactive approach to flu season is always a great way to stay ahead of the curve.
Get that flu shot. Now would be a great time to get it. There are a lot to choose among. The CDC doesn't make any recommendation about any one in particular, but there are vaccines for those with egg allergies. There are vaccines for those with certain religious restrictions. Lots of them to choose among. Just go to a local pharmacy and they're free.
If you're interested, influenza vaccines are available free of cost at any local pharmacy. Sean?
All right, Bria, thank you. With veterinarians across the country sounding the alarm as a mysterious illness is taking a toll on a growing number of dogs. Vets say the illness starts with a cough similar to kennel cough, and in severe cases can turn fatal. Experts found more than 200 cases of the illness coming out of Oregon, but there are currently none here in Georgia or South Carolina. While the cause is still being determined, vets say there are a few symptoms you need to look out for.
I think the big things to be looking out for would be coughing, runny eyes, and probably just lethargy. You know, if they're coughing and they seem off, they don't have their normal energy levels, they're not eating the way that they used to, they're laying around a lot more.
And experts say the best thing you can do is to make sure your dog, don't get together in large groups and avoid going to dog parks to ensure their safety. Coming up is officially college football hate.
Well,
Well, the weather menu for Thanksgiving Day isn't too bad. We'll have sun and clouds with a side dish of some cool temperatures. I think you're going to like it. We'll dive into your full 5 for 6 forecast for the holiday weekend coming up.
Right now on News Channel 6 at 7, nothing spoils the holidays like illness. Georgia and South Carolina are reporting a high number of cases of the flu. We'll have details. Plus, a local restaurant making sure everyone can eat this holiday. How T-Bones is continuing its annual Thanksgiving tradition. And expanding the Webster Detention Center. Why the sheriff says the upgrades could save lives. As your News at 7 starts now.
Live from Television Park, this is WJBF News Channel 6 at 7.
Good evening. You're watching News Channel 6 at 7. I'm Hannah Latier. Thanks for joining us. Coverage you can count on begins with vets around the country sounding the alarm as the mysterious illness is taking a toll on a growing number of dogs. Graham Lee spoke to a vet today to find out what you can do to keep your dog safe.
The animal hospital is a place no one wants to see their dogs for Thanksgiving. But experts say if you aren't careful, that might be what needs to happen.
I heard about it really about the same way that everybody else did. It kind of came out of nowhere.
As the holiday season is just kicking off, the mysterious illness is starting to hit dogs across the nation. While no cases have been reported in Georgia, several have been reported elsewhere.
All of a sudden, we heard about 200 plus cases in Oregon in a very short amount of time. So it kind of took a lot of us off guard.
While experts continue to determine the cause, Scholler says the primary symptoms to look out for are coughing, runny eyes, and unusual changes in behavior.
If they're coughing and they seem off, they don't have their normal energy levels, they're not eating the way that they used to, they're laying around a lot more, those are some of the early signs that we need to go ahead and get checked out by a veterinarian as soon as possible.
And with travel expected to be at an all-time high for Thanksgiving, Scholler says it's another reason to keep your dogs at home if possible.
There's going to be a lot of boarded pets. There's going to be a lot of traveling pets. There's going to be pets coming from other areas that could potentially be spreading these respiratory illnesses that we're seeing.
Vets like Scholler say even if you aren't traveling for the holiday, you should still make sure your dogs aren't gathering in large groups. But if they are experiencing symptoms, they may need to get checked out. In Evans, Graham Lee, WJBF, News Channel 6.
Flu season got an early start this year, and with the holidays, you'll want to make sure you stay healthy. The CDC reports 107 people hospitalized due to the flu since the first week of October. Local doctors at Wellstar MCG Health say this flu season is already underway, and with holiday travel and gatherings, they're warning you to protect yourself. They also say that a proactive approach to flu season is always a great way to stay ahead of the curve.
Get that flu shot. Now would be a great time to get it. There are a lot to choose among. The CDC doesn't make any recommendation about any one in particular, but there are vaccines for those with egg allergies. There are vaccines for those with certain religious restrictions. Lots of them to choose among. Just go to a local pharmacy and they're free.
Influenza vaccines are available free of charge at any local pharmacy. Time now for a first look at our weather. Here's Chief Meteorologist Tim Miller. Tim, I see that temperature dropping.
Yeah, it's dropping pretty fast too, thanks to that cold front that came through, Hannah, just last night, and it brought us some rain and much cooler temperatures. Let's look at all
people are hitting the road for the holiday weekend. Nikita Dennis has more on the flow of traffic and what you can expect.
Whether you're traveling by car or taking a flight,
in just a moment, Hannah.
Many people are hitting the road for the holiday weekend. Nikita Dennis has more on the flow of traffic and what you can expect.
Whether you're traveling by car or taking a flight, making sure you're safe this Thanksgiving weekend is always important. The flow of traffic is pretty smooth, but some drivers tell us they have ran into traffic going to and from Atlanta because, of course, that is a busy area. AAA says they are preparing to rescue more than 360,000 drivers from car trouble this holiday weekend. and you may also run into a little rain.
It's been great so far in South Carolina. The road's been really empty, but I don't anticipate that to hold very long. So, weather's been good.
Traffic been good, but I ran into rain like my first 2 hours. It was terrible. I didn't like that. But it's been smooth sailing ever since. Travelers also tell me they're looking out for law enforcement as well. In Augusta, Nikita Dennis, WJBF, News Channel 6.
T-Bone Steakhouse is carrying on a special 36-year tradition this Thanksgiving. Tomorrow, hundreds of to-go boxes filled with Thanksgiving favorites will be donated to patients and families at the Children's Hospital of Georgia. The boxes were decorated by local artists and students. Leftovers will be given to staff at the hospital, restaurant, and the Salvation Army. The owners say they want to continue giving back to the community like this for years to come. As retailers are gearing up for Black Friday and Small Business Saturday, they are keeping a close eye on inflation. Anna Wernicke is in Washington with more.
Long before Black Friday, retailers have been cranking out deep discounts and sales.
It was basically Black Friday in October, and that's going to keep rolling through the holidays.
Ted Rossman, senior industry analyst at Bankrate.com, says the state of the economy has many retailers and shoppers concerned.
Our survey found that about a third of holiday shoppers specifically say that inflation is affecting their buying decisions.
Currently, the inflation rate is 3.2%. Still, Rossman says retailers are preparing for record sales.
It's the best discounting season since the pandemic. The inventory situation's better.
The National Retail Federation says an estimated 182 million people will shop either online or in person this Thanksgiving weekend. That's up 69% since 2019. Isabel Casillas Guzman with the Small Business Administration says many of those shoppers are likely to shop local, and small businesses are prepared.
They are hoping for that regular seasonal boost and planning with the inventories.
But Guzman says small businesses are still recovering from the economic hit during the pandemic, and many of them are hoping for a record turnout this year to keep their doors open.
We want to make sure that now more than ever, we're spending locally, shopping small, to give them that revenue boost, let them get their run through their inventories and have a great record year.
In Washington, I'm Anna Wernicke.
A major expansion of the Webster Detention Center in Augusta is moving forward. Overcrowding at the jail has the sheriff publicly saying he's worried someone is going to die. Commissioners now looking at going out on $37 million in bonds for a new jail pod with 200 beds. The city would face almost $3 million in interest payments on the bonds the first 2 years. The hope is by 2027, voters will approve the next phase of the sales tax to take over the costs.
You heard the sheriff say out of his mouth that, he's afraid someone's going to die. And I think that we all understand the sense of urgency to have a bigger jail pod when we're overbooked on the number of people there. I didn't tour the facility, but I knew all about this facility from people that work there and how bad it all the locks broken, just how crazy it is there.
The sheriff telling commissioners the jail has over 1,200 inmates and capacity is 1,060. Coming up, Israel and Hamas have... Coming up, we are continuing to celebrate the 70th anniversary of WJBF this week. We'll have a look at the programming that the station has produced over the years after the break.
This month it's... The WJBF Live Viper 6 Skyview Network is sponsored by Terry Lambert Hyundai. Low prices, big selection, and committed to quality customer service.
We are celebrating a milestone here at WJBF. Nearly 70 years ago, on November 26, 1953, WJBF signed on for the very first time. 70 years later, we are looking back at some of the programming that has made WJBF the #1 station in our market. Kim Vickers has a look.
Since 1953, WJBF Channel 6 has produced and aired some of the most popular local television shows in the CSRA. Some were for children, some were spiritual, some informative, and others just plain entertaining.
Things in Augusta, Georgia shut down
at 12 o'clock because they were going to go out and watch the TV set. If you didn't have one, you'd go and watch it in the storefront window.
In 1954, a new variety show began airing on WJBF called Today in Dixie. It starred Jack Wiedemann and the legendary Flo Carter. They sang and danced and performed skits for an hour every weekday. Performing wasn't the only thing Flo did on Today in Dixie.
I was the cook on a Friday. I was sponsored by Lombard's Meal, and I cooked the fish and all the trimmings that went with it for the show.
Perhaps the most famous local kids show was Trooper Terry, hosted by Terry Sams. Julie Bush was in the audience about 6 times.
Every time I went, I won because I'm full of hot air, and it was a bubblegum blowing contest, and he gave out Bazooka Joe, and if you remember Bazooka Joe, it was a little square of gum that was hard, and you had to break it down and be the first one to blow a bubble. And if you did, you won a loaf of colonial bread.
WJBF has the distinction of airing the longest continuously running gospel show in the United States, the Parade of Quartets. It hit the air at the height of the Jim Crow era, which could have spelled doom for WJBF. Reverend Carlton Howard, the show's current host, said he asked WJBF's founder, J.B. Fuqua, about the move.
And I asked him point blank, I said, in 1953, why would you put a black program on television in that era? His exact words, because it was the right thing to do.
The Means Report is a popular show currently on the air, hosted by evening anchor Brad Means. Years ago, it was called The Young Report, hosted by then anchor Bob Young. When Brad took it over in 1998, he told me his goal was to take a deeper dive into the big topics.
And we've always tried to focus on issues and people that shape our community. So, Kim, if something is in the headlines, if it's our top story at 6 o'clock, chances are you'll find out more about it on the Means Report.
Brad co-anchors with Jenny Montgomery, who also hosts a popular show called Jenny. Over the years, Jenny has featured artists, designers, and women's health professionals, among many. I asked her who her dream guest is, and she replied, "I've already had him."
Gino Vanelli. I had Gino Vanelli here in the studio.
So were you starstruck?
And that was, well, I mean, since I was 15 years old, Gino Vanelli has been my favorite singer ever and my favorite musician. And so to actually have Gino here, yeah, it was tremendous.
There is so much more to learn about the history of television programming here at WJBF, including the major star who got his television start right here. To read all about it, just head on over to WJBF.com. That's just part of our hometown history. In Augusta, Kim Vickers, WJBF, News Channel 6.
Join us tomorrow for another look at the history of this great television station as we continue to celebrate our 70th anniversary. And you can learn more about our history at WJBF.com. We'll be right back.
Ready to develop career.
An unassuming man living in a New Hampshire mobile home has been discovered to be a secret millionaire after he passed away. Jeffrey Holt was the caretaker of a mobile home park who didn't own a car. He got around on his lawnmower. After he died, his will gave $3.8 million to the small town of Hinsdale, New Hampshire, where he lived. A trust he set up in 2001 says the money has to be used to benefit the community through education, health, recreation, and culture.
How cool is that?
What a saint.
I know.
Can you imagine just getting around on your lawnmower all the time?
Yeah.
It sounds kind of fun, honestly.
It is. So Forrest Gump did it.
Yes,
I mean,
he did.
I mean, so, you know, and Forrest Gump was a billionaire. Well,
Yeah.
what if there's a relation? Anyway, I digress. Thanksgiving is tomorrow, Hannah, and 62 degrees, a beauty of the day. A little shower activity for Friday, 64, but the rest of the holiday weekend looks to be nice, but cool, highs around 60. There you go.
Well, thank you so much, Tim. We will see you again at 10 on MeTV. We're always with you at WJBF.com. Entertainment Tonight is next.